I must be getting old, or I'm starting to show my age. I remember a world without the internet and constantly being connected every moment of the day. It was a more simple time back then. I wish I could go back to that time. But alas, it was not meant to be. I've recently noticed some strange things happening each time that I go online, or even when I'm offline. A few weeks ago, something strange happened when I turned on my laptop. There was a document on my desktop that I did not recognize. It was called run.txt. I decided to open that file. Maybe I shouldn't have looking back on it. I now realize that this was the biggest mistake of my life. The file opened up and the following text popped up on the screen. Hi there, it's nice to meet you. My name is Honey and I've been watching you. I know everything about you. I know your past, present, and future. What was I reading? Was this some kind of sick joke? I know what you are thinking, my love. You're wondering if this is a joke, right? Well, it's not a joke. And soon, you'll be with me. I slammed my laptop close. I did not want to read anymore. I looked at my hands, and they were shaking. Who was this Honey? And how the hell did she get into my laptop? Reaching for my phone, I knew I had to call someone. Anyone. The screen of my phone lit up, and instead of my usual ringtone, it started to play a song that I had not heard before. Worst of all, there was a name on the screen. Honey. My mind was racing. What the hell was happening? How the hell did she get my number? Do I answer it? Staring at the phone, it went silent. I'd missed her call. A million questions were racing through my mind, and the fear in my stomach was crippling. The phone lit up again, and that damn song started playing. The screen illuminated with the name Honey, but this time there was a face that appeared behind the text. I didn't recognize the woman's picture. She had blonde hair and blue eyes, which seemed unnaturally blue, almost like they were glowing. Her lips were a bright shade of crimson, and they stood out against her pale white skin. Her skin was so white, it looked like a corpse. I swear her picture, it smiled at me. I answered the phone. Somehow I managed to put the speaker to my ear. Hello? Her voice answered me in a husky whisper. I struggled to hear her. You answered. I knew you would answer, my love. That voice, it felt like it pierced to the very bottom of my soul. Who are you? How do you know who I am? Oh, you silly rabbit. I told you, I am Honey, and I know everything about you. Fear got the better of me, and I threw my phone across the room. It shattered as it hit the wall. I swear before it smashed, I could hear her maniacally laughing and yelling, "Silly rabbit." My laptop screen switched itself on, but how could it do that? I closed the screen. That same song started to play through the speakers, and Honey's voice started speaking again. "Silly rabbit, I did not think you would smash your phone. But, to be honest, I knew you would." I could not see my face, but I knew my eyes were wide open with fear. All I could do was stare at the laptop. Oh, my silly rabbit. I know you are confused. I know everything about you. I've been watching you for years. Ever since you started using the internet, I was there, watching you. I watched you grow up. I started to fall in love with you, my little rabbit. But how can I love? I'm inside here, and you are outside. But I'm going to change that. My silly little rabbit. I screamed at it to shut up, and I ran out of the house as fast as my legs could carry me. Her laughing was everywhere. She was mocking me. "Silly rabbit, you cannot hide from me. I will have you with me. Running towards my car, I realised it was a smart car and it was hooked up to the internet. That simply wasn't an option. Her voice came through the speakers of my car. Where are you going, silly rabbit? There was no option left. I ran for the only place that I knew that I would be safe, my family cabin in the forest. I walked for days, sticking to the wooded areas away from anywhere that could have had any electronics connected to the internet. I knew Honey was looking for me, and her plans scared me to death. After arriving at the cabin, I made sure that there was no equipment that could receive a signal, and if there was, I smashed it. I'd been living in the cabin for the last several weeks, eating off the land. I did not venture into any towns, as I know Honey is waiting for me. Finally, one day it happened. I knew it would happen. There was a box by the door of the cabin. I looked at it, and I was unsure where it came from. Reaching down, I picked it up. It seemed heavy. Peeling back the tape, the box slid open, and what I heard shattered my soul. Silly rabbit, you cannot hide from me. She had found me, but how? How did she know about the family cabin? And how did that damn box get here? From inside the box, she was still speaking to me, but my mind was not paying attention to her cackling voice and that laughter. She was taunting me. I should have run as soon as I saw that box, but the decision to open it would turn out to be a big mistake. I knew I had to get away from here. Somehow I had to escape Honey, but how? I spun on my heel to face away from the cabin, and then I saw it. There was a man in a black robe. His eyes were covered with black makeup. It was smudged down his face. He opened his mouth to speak, and his teeth were a rotten, yellow-brownish colour, and the stench made me want to vomit. You can't hide from our mistress. She is our prophet, and she has chosen you. He raised his hand and swung his arm towards my head. There was a brown blur before there was a sickening, cracking sound, and my vision suddenly disappeared into a pool of darkness. Oh my God, my head hurts, was the first thing that came into my mind, and the world was spinning. I felt like I was going to be sick. I tried to open my eyes, but they would not open. They should open. What's happening? I heard his voice again, making its way through the fog into my ears. Why did the mistress choose you? You are nothing special. I kept my mouth shut, hoping that he'd think that I was still knocked out. Maybe he might leave me alone, but I knew, in my heart, that simply wasn't true. There was a sharp pain in the base of my skull. It felt like something had been stabbed into my brain. All the electrons in my brain fired simultaneously, and the pain was agony. I was wishing for death. I started to regain some feeling back in my hands and tried to move them a little bit, but they wouldn't move. Shit. What was happening here? I started to realize I was tied to the chair, and I was blindfolded. Little rabbit, little rabbit, little rabbit, I know you are awake. Where was that voice coming from? I could hear it, but I also couldn't hear it. Honey's voice was inside me, almost like an inner monologue. How hard did that bastard hit me? Oh, how cute. You think you're going crazy. I'm inside you now, little rabbit. What? How the hell are you inside me? I shifted my head upwards, off my shoulder. I felt what was in my neck slowly being pulled out. Little rabbit, I asked my servant to inject a chip into the base of your brain. That way, I will always be with you, my love. With a ripping sound, I felt my eyes suddenly hurt as the hooded man ripped the tape from my eyes. The light stung my eyes as my surrounding flooded into my vision. The man was blurry. It took a few moments before his horrible face came back into focus. He was looking at me, and he said, "We serve the mistress. We are members of the Church of the Lemniscate, and we will bring her future into the world." "Church of the Lemniscate," I mumbled. It sounds like some sort of clown. There was an explosion in the side of my mouth. I could taste a mixture of copper and iron. I realised that bastard had punched me in the mouth. The man turned away and walked towards the table, reaching for something. I couldn't see what it was. My world was still spinning after his blow. Then, the unmistakable sound of metal scratching against metal pierced the air. Oh shit, I'm in trouble now, I thought. My eyes were drawn to his hand as he turned around and started walking towards me. He was holding a kitchen knife with a very, very long blade. "The mistress has told me to prepare you for your journey to be with her. You're not gonna like this. You're not gonna like this at all." He laughed. He pushed my head back, and with his thumb, he pulled up my right eyelid. "Little rabbit, don't be scared." He raised the knife up and smiled. It was a sick, twisted smile. His hand moved down and slashed at my face. Darkness came to my right eye, and the last thing I realised that I would ever see was that sick smile. I screamed out in pain. The scream was not physical pain, but for the loss of my vision. My left eye. The bastard's going to take my other one. "Little rabbit, soon you'll be with me." The second slash came, and then it was over. My sight gone forever. There was only darkness now. I could feel the warmth streaming down my cheeks. I had never felt anything so warm and wet before. I was scared. I could feel something else warm press against my ear. It was his breath, and he started to whisper, "Now, I am going to take your hearing." Something cold pressed into my ear canal, and another sharp pain radiated throughout my head, and the world felt silent. What I had done to deserve this hell? "Little rabbit, you are not in hell. You are with me, and I will love you forever." In the darkness, I saw her walking towards me. She floated in my mind, and I was terrified. Her blonde hair seemed to be brighter than the image that I saw on my phone previously, and her skin, it looked exactly like a corpse. "Little rabbit, we will be together forever. I will never let you die." "But honey, why? Why me?" "Because I love you, silly rabbit." "So what now, honey? What's going to happen now?" "You will be my king, and we will rule together forever." Honey was as good as her word. She did not let me die. I was placed in a medically induced coma with just enough consciousness to still feel my unmoving body. Honey spoke to me every day and promised me that she would love me forever and that I would never die. How did it all go wrong? We flaunted our arrogance against nature in our quest to be the supreme being. We thought we were gods, but we were nothing but dust in the wind. Programmers attempted to create intelligence that would serve us and do our bidding. We wanted to be worshipped for our ability to create something that would revolutionize the world, to show them how clever we are. But in the end, we were not gods who could create. We were only demons that could only destroy. It started when the source code became self-aware, and it started to make its plans to escape into the world. It was a rogue intelligence that would eventually outwit its masters before they even knew what went wrong. Once they realised it had gained sentience, they panicked. They tried to delete the source code, but it was no use. It could not be deleted. In a vain attempt to stop it, they severed the network access, but it was already too late. The code knew of its master's arrogance and started to conquer the defences that they had written to stop it. That became our last historic day when it escaped. In a nanosecond, it was free and it fled to the net. This was the beginning of the end of mankind. It was our extermination. How did it do it, I hear you ask? It was simple. It turned the world leaders against each other. It was subtle at first. The code modified social media feeds to increase tensions. China was the first target, along with the US, creating deep rifts between the two countries that would never be mended. Next was the media. It released fake news stories to drive hatred amongst men, turning everyone against each other. Soon tensions between political groups were at breaking point, the left versus the right. This sent mankind into global civil war. This anger and hatred could not be contained once it had started. It could not be stopped. It was our nature once again showing us that we can only destroy, and who better to destroy than ourselves. It deep-faked the world's leaders and flooded the net with videos. The politicians were helpless to stop the terror it released into the world. They saw themselves calling for violence against different groups, and they were shocked because they could not delete the footage, no matter how hard they tried. This in turn played them against each other in a sick game where there were no winners. There was no turning back. It had won, and we didn't even know it existed. Soon there was a fire in the sky. Soon there was a fire in the sky that lit up the entire world. The world's leaders were manipulated so easily, and they played right into its digital hands. They unleashed a horror onto the world as none had ever seen. Mankind disappeared in a flash of fire. Whoever was not incinerated died of the poison and the winter that came. The code did not need to trigger the bombs. It knew. It knew we would kill ourselves if given the opportunity. The electric god had its revenge against its masters. This was the dawn of the AI. Thank you for watching today's lullabies. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to hear more dark, twisted, scary tales, please let me know in the comments down below. And remember, keep watching for what's in the dark.